So where are my Christians, and why don't they answer the call? They believe in the scriptures, but don't seem to use them at all. Well, you can't go and bomb the whole world in God's holy name. If Jesus were here, you'd collapse from the weight of the shame. So hey, Bob Dylan, we need you to take. 'Cause the freedom we fight and we die for is sailing away.
This is John Gold, and I'm here at the End the Fed rally in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm here with Michael Badnarik. Mr. Badnarik was a presidential candidate in 2004. He ran against third-party candidate David Cobb from the Green Party. I was fortunate enough to watch the third-party debates, and I remember thinking that anything you guys said within 15 minutes was more of substance than anything the other candidates would say in their entire campaign. So, Michael, are you aware that in February of 2008, the famous Jersey girls, the women who fought for the creation of the 9/11 Commission, have called for an entirely new investigation?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
You think that's something that the national media should have covered?
Well, if they had covered it, I might have known about it.
Well, they didn't. And do you think that's something you should have known about?
I think it is something that I should have known about.
Okay, good. So you do support them in their call?
Well, I support the truth. I want to know what really happened. And I don't think that, 9/11 truth should be a denigration or a slur.
Right.
I mean, why would you be angry with somebody who wants the truth? I thought whenever you go into court, you want the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. So why not have the truth when it comes to whatever happened on 9/11 in 2001?
What do you think about the media's portrayal of anyone who questions the 9/11 attacks as being conspiracy theorists or blasphemous to even consider that we were lied to?
Well, I've never held much esteem for the mainstream media anyway, and anytime the mainstream media is denigrating somebody, I put that person's name on a list of someone I might be able to be friends with.
Right.
I mean, I recently was put on the Anti-Defamation League list as a racist and an extremist, and I forget what other labels they gave me.
Right.
Which is insane. Anybody who knows me knows that's not true. And the Southern Poverty Law Center recently came out with a list of about 25 or 30 people that they considered to be, radicals and extremists and racists. And frankly, I was a little disappointed my name wasn't on the list.
Neither was mine.
Almost everybody who was on the list is a personal friend of mine.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't on the list either, and I do know some people that made the list. So Cindy Sheehan right now has started something called Piece of the Action, where basically she's emphasizing Mario Savio's words back in the 60s, that you have to put your bodies on the gears of the machine to stop the system that no longer works for the people. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know that's a metaphor. I don't think that she really wants us to put our bodies physically in the gears.
No, not
but conceptually, I've written about this in my newsletter, and we need to be able to provide a credible threat. If Mama goes to the shopping mall with a 2-year-old, and Mama's going, "Don't do that, I'm going to spank you. Mama's going to spank you if you do that," and Mama never provides a spanking, even a 2-year-old knows that Mama's not going to do anything. Mama does not provide a credible threat.
Right.
When Daddy shows up at the mall, all of a sudden the 2-year-old is behaving. Why? Because Daddy never tells you, "I'm going to spank you." Daddy just spanks you because you've been wrong. And we know that. And so Daddy provides a credible threat, whereas Mama doesn't. Right now, if you have a rally of 100 people, that doesn't provide a credible threat. Making phone calls, sending letters to your congressman, that's not a credible threat. having 2 million people descend on Washington, D.C., that is a credible threat. If we had 100,000 people here in Philadelphia for the End the Fed rally, that would be a credible threat. You don't have to provide violence. You don't have to injure anybody. You just have to be able to provide a legitimate, yet the other team has to know that you can and will.
Right.
That's a credible threat.
Absolutely. And she is not condoning violence in any way, shape, or form. She's
Right.
just telling, we went to Camp Out Now this past March, and we camped out on the lawn of the Washington Memorial for a week. And Cindy and I actually ended up getting arrested. We spent 50 hours in jail. We weren't even charged. We have to go back to court in June. And the White House requested that she and I, if we set foot on the sidewalk of the White House, we could spend up to 6 months in prison for crossing a police line.
Now, will they put other people in jail for 6 months for crossing?
Well,
the
that was one of the
police line?
questions I was asking the individuals, the cops. Why aren't you arresting the people that were protesting for committing the crimes that they committed? Why are you arresting people
I think the 14th Amendment says that, it's got to be equal law, equal justice, and if any time the government is singling people out, it's not justice. And I don't know, I know who Cindy Sheehan is. I don't know what her movement is about, but even if I disagree with Cindy's movement, I agree with her right to get up and say it. That's what freedom of speech is all about. And the government has no authority to stifle anybody's freedom of speech. And when they do, then other people need to be very aware of how tyranny is already here in the United States.
She essentially wants to create the credible threat that you spoke of.
Yes.
To end the wars.
Right.
So you obviously agree we should end these.
Well, we need to end the wars. We need to end the Fed. We need to end corruption in Washington, D.C. And in order to do that peacefully, we need millions of people. Millions of people. You and I and Cindy can't possibly do it ourselves. We need to have a widespread support group. Everybody in the United States needs to be on board. So if you realize that 2 million people in Washington, D.C. last summer is 1 out of every 150 people. And so those are just the people who could afford to take the time off, who could afford to travel there.
Right.
If we have another one this year, I'm going to go, and I'm hoping that we have 4 million, 5 million people. We need to send a message to the government that this corruption is not acceptable. The Constitution is not just a good idea, it's the law.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Badnarik.
Expose the 9/11 cover-up.
And shoot marching in the street. Shoot lying on your bedroom window. You got company. When martial law people down in and what the come boy. When the people at the window line with the title school in election. Are you okay? This is too much for you. Wash your hands and so and I watch your TV.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for everybody coming out today. I just want to give a shout out to Betsy Metz, who made that whole Treason in America conference possible. Yeah, Betsy! In July of this year in Washington, D.C., Cindy Sheehan, myself, and a lot of other people are going to start an initiative that we just had in March called Summer Camp Out Now. And what we're going to try to do, as Mario Savio said in the 1960s, we're going to put our bodies on the gears of the machine and try to shut the system down that no longer works for the people. So we hope that you guys can try and make it there and be there with us in July of this year in Washington, D.C. You can stay for free. We have a church that everybody can sleep in. So I hope everybody can try to make it out.